power to veto 4 City Council amendments to the 2026 budget. Last night, City Council chose to override these vetoes in a special session. Now let me be very clear about what that action did. City Council voted to defund the following positions: the business administrator, the director of economic development and building and housing, the project manager for building and housing and LERTA, and the director of community service aids. One of these positions, the business administrator, is a statutory position under city code and ordinances. It is not optional. It is not symbolic. It is required for the lawful operation of the city government. At this moment, we do not even know whether City Council action to defund that position is legal. That question is now under review by the city solicitor, and I am consulting outside counsel regarding the next steps. But there's a larger issue here, and the public deserves to hear it. City Council has now crossed into territory that does not belong to them. Hiring, firing, and personnel management are executive functions. They are the responsibility of the mayor under the city charter and longstanding principles of municipal government. By selectively defunding positions tied to specific individuals and functions, Council is attempting to assume the power to decide who works, who does not work, and how the executive branch is structured. That is not an oversight. That is an overreach. Council does not run departments, and it does not manage staff. And most of all, it does not execute operations. That responsibility rests with the mayor alone, so that the public knows exactly who is accountable when services succeed or if they fail. Blurring that line is certainly dangerous. It undermines the balance of government and creates confusion, instability, and risk for the city of Harrisburg. I also need to directly address several statements made by Council President Danielle Hill. First, the suggestion that this administration is absent or disengaged from the day-to-day conditions of our neighborhoods is simply false. I am in the streets in the evenings, most evenings as a matter of fact, often alongside public works employees addressing streetlight outages and quality of life issues, and I'm there firsthand. When outages are reported, our engineering staff acts immediately upon being notified. That is the reality of how this administration operates. Second, no mayor in recent history has confronted blight in this city the way my administration has. Over the past 4 years, we have demolished more than 60 unsafe and blighted properties. We have saved the city hundreds of thousands of dollars by bringing more than half of those demolitions in-house rather than outsourcing the work. That is not rhetoric. That is measurable progress. Third, President Hill is fully aware that Harrisburg remains under Act 47. For years, the city lacked the financial capacity to pursue a comprehensive economic development strategy. Only recently have we received a point of stability where such planning is possible due to the $100,000 we received from the governor. Because of this funding, We are acting swiftly to do that work. To suggest otherwise ignores both our financial reality and our history. Fourth, the parking in this city was a great asset sold under a previous administration. The city does not have control over parking. Why does the council president continue to act as if she does not know this? Concerns about parking around anything should be directed to the appropriate body, not misrepresented to the public as a failure by the city of Harrisburg. I must remind you that the process matters, that law matters, proper governance matters. When council leadership disregards legal guidance, attempts to create authority where none exists, or proceeds without understanding the basic parliamentary procedure, it undermines the credibility of the entire body and erodes public trust. Harrisburg deserves better than grandstanding. It deserves competence and respect for the rule of the law. Council members have consistently stated that this is not personal. When something has to be said over 15 times in one meeting, honesty matters. This is personal. And more importantly, it is harmful to the residents of the city of Harrisburg. This is not about titles. This is not about turf. This is about whether the city of Harrisburg can function responsibly and lawfully. By defunding these positions, council did not simply remove people. That is not how municipal government works. A defunded position cannot be filled. It cannot be posted. It cannot be advertised. And it certainly cannot be promoted. The work, it simply does not disappear. The responsibility does not disappear. It is simply shifted elsewhere. And guess where that elsewhere is? It's going to end up on my desk. I am now being told, in effect, to do two jobs, two full-time executive jobs at once, to oversee daily city operations, economic development, housing, major projects, compliance, and community services. Without the professional structure required to do so, that work effectively and certainly safely. I don't know about you, but that is not governance. That is disruption. And let me be clear about who pays the price. It certainly is not me. It is the residents of the city of Harrisburg. It is the homeowner waiting on housing rehabilitation, the senior citizen who has no heat and needs a new furnace, the family who has a leaking roof or no running water and need immediate plumbing service. It is those trying to keep their heads above water just to make ends meet. It is the business owners trying to invest in the city of Harrisburg responsibly. It is the neighborhood relying on community service aids. It certainly is the taxpayer who expects competence and chaos. It is the city employee who deserves leadership and stability. It is the voter anxiously waiting a rejuvenated business corridor, safe, lit, and paved streets, and promises I intend to keep. Now let me say this again. It is the taxpayer who expects competence, not chaos. This decision pushes Harrisburg backwards. It risks doing progress that took years to rebuild. It raises serious concerns about returning to the kind of instability that once led this city into financial crisis, state oversight, and Act 47 intervention. City of Harrisburg residents, we have lived that history. I will not allow this city to stumble back into it. Now, disagreement is part of democracy. Oversight is part of council's role. But governance requires discipline, respect for the law, and respect for the separation of powers. This action crossed from policy disagreement into institutional overreach. Excuse me for a minute, I have a cold. Now, I will continue to show up for this city each and every single day. I will continue to lead with transparency, resolve, and accountability. But I will also defend the residents of Harrisburg against actions that undermine their services, their stability, and certainly their future. For council, it is personal. For me, it is not. These actions have inserted a serious stumbling block that greatly affects the people of this city, the people I work for, and the people I answer to. And for that, I am accountable. And council should be also. I am consulting legal counsel to determine the appropriate remedies, and I will pursue every lawful option available to protect the proper functioning of the government. In the end, this is not about individuals. It is about duty, and it should be about council's duty. And the residents of this city should be upset about that. And remember that when you go to the polls to vote for those individuals that you have representing you in city council. And my duty is, and it always will be, to the people of the city of Harrisburg. And as far as the phone calls the council acknowledged at the meeting, no one has ever called me, and that's been in the 2.5 years. And modern technology, you can text and email, so certainly they should be aware of that. And I want to thank you and apologize to the residents of the city of Harrisburg for what council has done and what will happen in the next 5 or 6 weeks. Thank you all. I will accept any questions.
Mayor, you say you're exploring legal options. Do you intend to bring some kind of suit?
Yes, I am. I am going to meet with the attorneys today. Matter of fact, probably 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock.
If council is found to have violated something or done something illegal, what do you think that says to taxpayers who are going to have to foot the bill for a lawsuit that shouldn't happen?
Well, taxpayers should be crying out loud. It should come out here, down to city council, and let them know how they feel about that. Not do it on Facebook. Come personally and let them know their action that they've taken, how it is going to destroy the city of Harrisburg. I've worked for the last 4 years to make sure that we are financially stable. And for them to do this undermines what I've tried to do for the city residents of Harrisburg. I think you heard me. The work lays on my desk.
So are these individuals going to be fired, or what happens?
There's no money in the budget to pay them for their positions, so they certainly will have to be terminated. Not terminated, but let go. I hate to use the word terminated because I'm not firing any of the individuals. Council has done that.
Council, I think, with Mr. Zukoski and some of the other, well, at least Director Roberts has said, we didn't go through the
Well, I think you need to direct that answer to council. Because when they say that I don't call them, or that I don't meet with them, or Mr. Sikowski has not met with them, that is not true. That is untruth. I'm up here every night till 6 or 7 o'clock along with Mr. Sikowski. So if there's any questions or concerns the council have, my door is always open. They have not bothered to call me or not bothered to come up to the city. She's still being paid. She's still being paid under the federal government funding. Because they have not voted on her to be in that position. And you need to ask council, why have these questions not been presented to council? Why have you voted the way you did? When you say it's not personal 15 to 20 times in a meeting, it certainly is, it's personal. When you make faces, each time you vote, you're making faces, funny faces and laughing. It's not funny. It's taking someone's job away from him during this desperate time in our life, in their lives. We don't have time to play games. We have time to make sure that we keep moving forward to make sure this city is progressing in a positive direction. Well, there's communications as long as they come up here and talk to me. If you're not talking to me, if you walk by me, when you go in the elevator, you walk right past me and don't say a word. When we're in the parking lot, they walk right past me, don't say a word. I'm there, and I'm always available. And when they talk about the phone, my grandkids play at my phone, so I'm not sure what they're talking about blocking. I have intentionally blocked anyone. If I intentionally blocked anyone, I would receive the phone call from a grandmother at 1 o'clock in the morning concerning her grandson who needed my help. Or someone calling at 2 o'clock in the morning that there was an accident involving their child. I don't turn my phone off. And as I stated before, email is always pretty good. Modern technology, texting. And then most of all, she comes down here. They come down here each and every day. Mr. Jones is down here every day. My office is on the 2nd floor.
Councilwoman Green, during the amendment process, talked about the CSA position and said she thinks the amendment doesn't need to be there. Do you have any, want to justify why you want it to be there?
Well, I don't have to justify it. I think that, we give council quarterly reports. And in those quarterly reports, it determines what the CSAs have done and what their next project will be. So I don't understand why council defunded that position. That's highly needed in that area. And how about talking to some of the CSAs yourselves? Asking them what they've done, where they go, how well they maintain the traffic control, how they go in and in their intervention with the school children. Yes, and she has a positive impact on that. She determines what they should do and how they should do things. And she's done a great job in the last year or so with everything that she had before she got here.
Really quick, you mentioned earlier, you said something about downtown and giving up promises of paved streets. Is 2nd Street going to get paved?
Yes, most certainly.
Who's next in turn?
We will most certainly look at that. It's high on the list, as well as other streets in the city of Harrisburg. We paved over 100 streets so far, and we will continue to do that as long as we have the responsible financial in our budget. We will do that. Okay? Thank you all for coming today.
Especially with a cold.
I know, this is miserable. This is miserable.